Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Slasher Movie Club Monday nights. Coriander, here we go. What's going on?
Not much. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm ready to see what we got going on with this crazy ass movie. When we announced it last week, I was thinking, okay, this could kind of go one of two ways. So I'm really interested to talk about it and see what our audience thought about it. Hopefully, they get a chance to see it as well. Talking about The Clown at Midnight from 1998. And it's starring a hell of a lot of well known actors and actresses, man.
Yeah, it's good. It's
Yeah.
got quite the cast.
You've got Christopher Plummer, you got the amazing Margot Kidder, you've
Hmm.
even got Tatiana Ali, who was obviously one of the cast members of The Fresh Prince of Bel Air. So let's see who we have
Right.
in the chat, and then we'll get going. Let's see. Dan is in the chat. Dan is our ride or die. You were all right, Dan. Thank you so much for being
Right.
here. Hey, everyone. This should be a fun one. We're hoping so. We're hoping so. And Val's in the chat. She is also our other ride or die. Thank you so much, Val, for hanging out with us. We knew last week we'd have a lot of people that be interested in urban legend. I was so curious to see how many we would have tonight. But glad to have you,
How
Val.
many? How many so far?
Actually, Val or Dan, if you could let us know how many people we have and how many likes, that'd be great. Um, Snipes Entertainment saying, I actually tried to watch this movie because I never heard of it, but the Rangers need to win. There you go. All right. And Valerie has seen this a few years back. Wow.
Nice.
Very cool. Very cool. Wow. You've got that cred as a horror fan. Um, Snipe saying a couple of years after Scream, yet probably forgotten. Yeah. Yep. Mega Giants in the chat saying good evening. What's going on?
Hello.
Flamethrower is in the chat saying, is this the one with Ashley from the Fresh Prince? Yes, it was.
Yes. Yep.
Yes, yes, it was. Let's see. We got a couple other comments here. Yeah, I never thought that she would be in a slasher movie either. Yeah. Let's see. Do. So you guys are talking to each other. Conrad is in the chat. What's going on, Conrad? Nice to see you. Welcome to the Night Watch Zone. Yeah. Ginger Ninja's in
Nice.
the chat. Yeah, boy.
Hello.
We got the crew. You guys know what's up. We appreciate you guys always hanging out with us no matter what we talk about.
Right.
Same thing with Neil. Neil's here. All right.
Hey.
All right. Dan, like the video, everyone, or a clown will cry. Thank you. Thank you. Steve is in the chat, my man from Craven Something Scary. What's
Hello.
going on? Yeah. Ben Grimm as well. All right. Very cool. Miss Carter's in the chat. All right.
Hello.
I'm not down with this clown. That's too funny. Oh man, too funny. Snipe saying the clown makeup and performance is creepy and well written from what I've seen so far. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. We got Steven, I tell you, we got a $2 super chat. Before clowns, there was Ed Harris and Mr. T. That's very, very true. So let's do this real quick for the fun of it. Let's do, Don't Let Go and dedicate it to Steven. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Here we go.
Baby, can you dig your man? He's a righteous man. Don't let go.
That just doesn't get old. It really doesn't.
Oh
Uh,
man.
that one was for Jack too. Jack Stannis, he was asking for that one too. So, but
Nice.
thank you so much. We really appreciate that, Stephen.
Right.
We really do. Don't let Captain Spaulding hear you don't like clowns, or he might come over that counter and put his boot up all up in your ass. Nice, very cool. So what we wanted to do, we're going to do something a little different tonight, you guys. So hopefully you know this movie because we have some questions as well. But to start things off, Coriander, give me a little background with you. You know, whether you had seen this movie or not, and what your initial thoughts were as it opened up.
Uh, no, I had never heard of it. I had
Hmm.
never seen it.
Yeah.
Um, And the opening, I mean, yeah, it opens like, movies you've seen before, a couple,
Mm-hmm.
you know, getting it on, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, it's almost like someone's kind of watching, and
Yes.
and the lover leaves, and he's telling his chick, be careful, and for some reason, blah blah, and
Mm-hmm.
off he goes, and then you see a hand, he's walking up the stairs, and a hand like goes on the rail, and yeah. So I mean, right there that shit's gonna go down, and yeah, I didn't mind the opening. I thought it opened up pretty good.
Yeah, it was a creepy opening. I will give it that. And I had never seen
Yeah.
this movie either. I had never heard of it either. Yeah, I might have in passing, because I thought I did remember that Tatiana Ali was in a horror movie, but I had never seen this. So obviously, you have a cast. And again, guys, kind of like what we were talking about last week with Urban Legend. This is a post Scream movie, but I will say what I liked about the opening was it was very creepy, and they were using a setting that I think was interesting. This
Yeah.
opera house setting.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So in other words, opera house equals haunted house in my opinion. As far as you've got dark corners and creepy hallways and creepy rooms and trapdoors and stuff like that. So I was all about that. I really
Yeah.
was. Um, your cast of characters, pretty much standard fare. Tatiana Lee was the one that stood out, obviously, because she had been on The Fresh Prince with Will Smith and crew.
Hmm.
Sarah Lazes, she plays Kate. She's the lead final girl. A lot of similarities to a certain other famous final girl from a famous horror franchise, but I'll just leave it at that. Um, and of course, to me, what was really cool, Christopher Plummer.
Right.
Christopher
Yes.
Plummer, man. I mean, God, that was just so cool to see him, in a movie like
In
this.
a
And he,
role like this, yeah.
yes, and he automatically gives you street cred, as far as I'm concerned.
Mm.
This movie is a Canadian film. Christopher Plummer, a Canadian actor, one of the most famous Canadian actors, ever. And sad that he's not with us anymore. But
Right.
anyways, so that was cool. But you also had Margot Kidder as well. And for any of you guys that have been around long enough, you know that we're big fans of Margot Kidder and her work. And again, sad that she's not with us any longer.
Mm.
But what I want to do is I want to touch upon a few like surface story beats and then get into a little bit of our Q&A that we're going to have with the live audience. Now, obviously, this is a killer clown movie, Coriander. So the
Mhm.
way that they depicted Orsini, he was the character that committed the murder in the beginning of the movie. What do you think? What do you think of him as that villain in this film? Any particular scenes or kills or anything like that come to your mind?
Um, you know, I didn't mind, a clown as a killer. That's always, you
Hmm.
know, it's interesting. It makes an interesting killer.
Right.
Um, and any standout kills? Oh, geez. I don't know. I'd have to think about that for a minute, man.
Okay. All right. Well, to me, it was interesting because in the beginning of the movie, when you see Orsini kill the leading lady,
Hmm.
the whole mystery is what happens to him. And then of course we fast forward in time and you have this cast that are tasked with basically renovating the same opera house where the murder happened. And Margot
Hmm.
Kidder playing Miss Gibby, she's the teacher bringing in this cast to renovate the opera house.
Oh,
And they're,
so yeah, sorry to interrupt, but now that you
yeah.
say that, I would say that, should I say who's killed then?
Well, you could just say that a certain victim was killed in a certain way if
Yeah,
you
that
want.
was pretty good. And she was like a surprising kill that was a quick kind of quick,
Yeah,
So I think you know who I'm talking about.
I do. I do.
Yeah,
I do.
yeah. Okay, but
So
anyway.
so they're there to renovate this opera house, and of course we find out that Kate is the daughter of the opera singer that was killed. Now, that's classic horror stuff. You see that time and time again. The interesting thing about her as the lead is that she has visions of her mother being killed. So she sees when Orsini, dressed as the clown, because they were
Yeah.
performing together, Pagliacci, um, uh, performance. But anyways, she can see the visions of her mother's death, and so that kind of plagues her. And then you have some of the other cast members. Walnut, in particular, I thought she was kind of an interesting character. Her nickname is Walnut. I never,
Yeah.
her name is Cheryl, but she's like, people call me Walnut, and played by Melissa Gallianis, and she was kind of one of those folks that believes in paranormal activity, the existence of ghosts, and this and that. So she
Yep.
kind of plays that role, and she was pretty cool. Not enough screen time, in my opinion. She was one of the more interesting characters, in my opinion. I don't know what you thought about her, Coriander, but you can let me know if you
Well, it's
want.
funny because I can't even like remember how she dies. So
Her death was sad. I gotta admit, I felt kind of bad for her death. I really
yeah,
did.
I can't
Yeah.
really remember it.
It was because she was hiding in the theater from Orsini, and obviously at some point you got to look around and see if the killer is there, and sure enough, the killer was there with an axe, and let's just say he hit a
Mm.
home run with the axe.
Oh, that's right.
There you go.
Okay.
Yes.
Down the stairs, right?
Yep. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Slow
Yeah, I
mo.
remember now. Right. Okay, I
Slow
got it now.
mo. Shout out to
Yeah.
Slow Mo. But Tatiana Ali, she also had a good role. She was Kate's best friend. She
Hmm.
played Monica. But really, in my opinion, I think she had a more prominent role, for at least, 50% of the movie. She was very, but I mean, it was also her charisma. She was very spunky and
Yeah.
energetic and so forth. So I think she had a good role too. And of course, you had you got to have the bitchy person in the cast too.
Right.
So that was Ashley, played by Liz Crawford. So you pretty much had your standard fare. You had the jock, you had the misunderstood, loner guy, and so forth. So it was all this setup for this movie. Real quick, let me get to the chat, and then we'll get into a couple of other things too. DMC's in the chat too. What's going on? All right. Let's see. I want to catch up to these guys. Oh, yeah. I think I am caught up to them. All right. Dan saying agreed. The opening showed some promise. Yeah,
Hmm.
and I think the opening also, I think that I thought it was going to go in a little bit of a different direction, which it didn't. But it is what it is. I think they were really trying to have a certain formula to this movie. But in my opinion, the setting of the opera house, I think, could have opened up a lot of other possibilities. Now, it could be because of the budget. This movie, didn't have a big budget. I think it was like 10,000, 12,000 bucks, something like that. So it was a very low budget. Again, it's Canadian production. So, that might have been why they went with the easier story. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Conrad saying, I saw this one when I was bored at work on YouTube. All right.
Oh,
Let us know what you think about it. DMC saying, hey, man,
hello.
Coriander, have not seen this.
Oh.
All right. All horror cliches in one movie. True enough.
Right.
Very, very true. And speaking of that, what we want to do is we're going to do something a little bit different because we have some questions we want to throw out to you guys in the chat. And we are doing this, Coriander. Q&A. So,
Nice.
thank you. So the first question we're going to throw out there that we want to ask to you guys watching, how do you, and we'll comment on these things too, but Coriander, I'll let you throw this one out first.
How do you think this movie has aged?
Yes. I mean, I think that's a really interesting question that we want to throw out to you guys. So please chime in and let us know. Coriander, what are some of your thoughts? You don't have to go very deep about it, but maybe making a point and maybe maybe a scene that backs it up or something like that. What do you think?
Why
about
do
how
you
it's
do
aged?
this to me?
Well, because I'm curious. How do you think it's aged?
I think it's it's definitely dated.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just how it's just somehow, I can't even talk, like how some parts are filmed, and
Yeah.
I don't know, even just, everyone talked about, it's almost like Tatiana had, what's her faces? I can't even think right now. In Scream, the reporter Gail, her
Gail.
bangs, because they were
Hmm.
so friggin' short.
Yeah.
But you could just tell that it was a 90s, flick. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I agree. It definitely had a lot of those 90s vibes to it. Um, and I think they were trying to tap into something that was very popular at the time. But here's why I wanted to talk about this. And this was a question that you brought up that I thought was an excellent question. I think that this movie almost was able to sidestep a lot of the 90s isms. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because the setting was an old opera house. It
Hmm.
was creepy. It was a great set. I think it was a
Yeah, I do
fantastic
agree
set.
with that. Hmm.
Yeah. And when you're having a story where it's a closed set and you've got bodies, and they basically can't leave, and there were a couple of reasons why they couldn't leave, which one was pretty creative, the other one was kind of standard fare because they were locked in. But when
Hmm.
you have a situation like that, there's a lot of, and you've got a killer on the loose inside, right?
Hmm.
And a mystery. You could have done a lot of different things. Now again, maybe it was part of, the budget and so forth, but they did some, I guess what I'm saying is they did some things that were good, and they did some things where I think it was kind of like lazy, or just falling into the stereotype trap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So because of that, I don't think it's aged very well in total. There are some things about it that I think were pretty good. And as we were watching it, I kept saying, well, this isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, because I
Hmm.
really didn't have much hope for it.
Yeah,
Not
I knew
not
nothing about it. And yeah, those movies that I really don't know anything about, it
Mhm.
makes you think, like, God, what am I getting into? So yeah.
Right, right. This was by no means blood cult. This
Right.
was by no means blood cult. This was not don't go in the woods. They really did. And let me just say, and we'll be talking about these things too, because they had a lot of strong elements in the movie, even though they had missteps. So,
Yeah.
all right. So most of you guys did not think that it aged too well. Let's go to another question. This is one I'll put out there. Was the mystery angle in this film effective? Yes or no, and why? And for you guys in the chat, especially Dan, Val, Conrad, you guys, the mystery angle to me, I thought was interesting, because it's
Hmm.
set up right from the beginning of the movie, and the question is who's who and why are things happening? And you also had red herrings in the
Yeah, you
film.
did.
you know you had two,
Hmm.
kind of almost three. So that was also another thing too that I thought made this a pretty good setup, because the
Hmm.
killer is on the loose when the kids get to the opera house and they're talking to Miss Gibby, Margot Kidder. You have Christopher Plummer comes in, and he is playing Harlan. He owns the opera house. It's been in his family for years, and things like that. First of all, can we give credit to Christopher Plummer and his delivery of dialogue? He's just one of those actors that I just like hearing him talk in all of his
Right.
roles. I don't know if you feel that way, but
He's
he,
he's he's good. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
He
yeah.
commands attention, that's for sure.
He does. He really does. So he's explaining that Orsini was never found. So the killer is at large. So as soon as that was put out there, I was thinking, man, this could be really, really interesting. Um, but let me just see what the folks in the chat thought about the mystery angle of whether it was effective. Dan saying they could have done more with it. I totally agree. I totally agree. It's very, very true. What do you think of that, Coriander? Did you find the mystery angle interesting, and what do you think they did with it, or what they didn't do with it?
I mean, it didn't like ruin anything. And if anything, yeah, because I wasn't, I mean, towards the end, you kind of do know what's happening, and
Yes,
it's not like it's a big mystery.
true.
So in a way, it could have been maybe dealt with in that way a little bit better.
Yes.
But I didn't really have any problem with the whole mystery aspect of it.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Conrad saying, I think it was. I like that answer. I think one particular scene that I think was a huge mistake, and it was early in the film, is once Harlan gives the keys to Miss Gibby, and is basically saying, I hope you guys can reopen this opera house, and it's a special place, blah blah blah. You have a scene where Christopher Plummer is in a room talking in a mirror. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, no, come on, don't tell me, right? And then as he's talking in the mirror, you see Orsini in the room, the clown
Yeah.
himself. And I was like, what? So early on in the film, they give you that.
Yeah,
And I
that was
thought
a little too soon.
it
Yeah.
was too soon, because then you're thinking, okay, well, obviously they're in cahoots with each other. So I think that was a huge mistake early in the film. I think if they didn't do that, that mystery, the air mystery, would have been much better. Like maybe if they waited till halfway through the film. So that was one thing that I think was a little bit of a mistake. Now, I don't want to go jump ahead too far, but of course, at near the end of the movie, or the final act, they do have a twist. So it's almost like they were trying to overcome that mistake in the beginning of the movie. So it was interesting. It was interesting. Conrad saying, I think the mystery was effective. All right. Dino's in the chat saying, hey, what's up, everyone? So many streams today. I love it. Yeah, man. We don't play around. We don't play around. Especially with live streaming. And I always talk about this with Coriander. If schedules allow it, it's a very good thing to do, because we have so many things on our list to do. But we also have a community like you guys that seem to enjoy it. So that's the important thing, is trying to make sure that we do what we can do when we can do it. We can't always do things. Sometimes we have schedule changes, but when we can, we do what we got to do. So let's see, anything else I want to throw. Dino saying, these guys deserve it. Conrad saying, sorry, I'm awkward sometimes, Night. No problem at all, man. Not awkward at all, man. So let's go to another question, because I think the whole idea of the mystery, that was a big part. So I'll throw this one up for you, Coriander.
Is it up?
Yep. Do you see
it? No.
Okay. Well, it basically says, who do you like as a killer clown better? And it's a choice between Orsini the clown in this movie or Art the clown from Terrifier. And I thought that was a really good question, man, because we are actually prepped, hopefully soon, to be talking about Terrifier, because we have not done that yet. So that's going to be an interesting one.
Right.
But for you guys in the chat, if you are familiar with Art the Clown, let us know, which because a lot of people, when they talk about clowns, they always talk about Pennywise. We're not talking about Pennywise, and I love Pennywise. Both
Same.
versions. More Tim Curry though, but
Tim Curry.
yes, Tim Curry. But I don't want to always, have Pennywise in the conversation. So Coriander had a great idea as far as talking about Art the Clown, because he's a newer, horror villain, maybe possibly one day an icon.
There was one in American Horror Story, Freaks, and that he was a fucked up clown. So yeah.
Cody's in the chat saying, I've only seen bits and pieces of Art the Clown. Ooh, all right. Well, we will be covering Terrifier very soon, and it's going to be interesting stuff, man. It really is. Dan saying that Art is scarier. All right. All right. Now, Coriander, I'll pose the question to you a little bit. From what we've seen, in this movie, and from what we've seen in Terrifier, taking the movies as they are, because obviously they're in two different settings, so that kind of changes what one character can do versus another. But taking them for what they are in their respective movies, what do you think about the clowns, kind of paired against each other?
Yeah, I think Art is definitely more, whacked out, and
Yeah.
he's brutal. I mean, that was a gory, brutal movie, and
Yeah.
this is very tame.
Right.
But I didn't mind this one either because he did have some creepy moments,
He did. He really
So,
did.
I mean, I
I mean,
enjoyed
look
him,
at this. Look at that.
right?
That's
That
creepy
is
as hell.
creepy, right? I did enjoy both for what they delivered. So I'll just say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me just jump into the chat here. Val saying the clowns from Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Those are just cute and goofy.
Miss Carter's going with Art the Clown. All right. Dino's going with Art the Clown, and so is Conrad. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Art the Clown was much more charismatic, much more brutal. And his movie was about him. You know what I'm saying? Whereas this movie is an ensemble movie. So this movie isn't centered on Orsini. You know what I'm saying? That being said, I will say that he was creepy in this movie. He was very creepy, and there were there were a couple of really good kills in the film, and especially, and I'll just throw it out here right now because you started to mention it earlier. The kill to Miss Gibby. That was that one actually made me say no, whoa, because the way it was shot, it was probably one of the most effective kills because she was in the opera house when the kids had left for the night. I mean, they had left the previous night, and she came in the morning. They weren't there, and she's trying to prep the costumes and all that type of stuff. And Orsini comes out of the shadows, type of thing. And when she turns around, he goes overhead with the axe to her head, and it looked good. Again, this is not a big budget, but that was a very effective kill. The way it was done, the pacing, and also the camera angle is really, really done well. But I look at these two clowns totally in two different ways. Orsini is kind of like the gentleman's killer clown,
Kind of like Phantom of the Opera clown.
Yes, great point. Oh my gosh, that is such a great. No, I'm being serious. That is an excellent point. Seriously, you are so correct. So, he's not killing just because he's a killer. There is a motive behind it. Whereas Art the Clown is totally deranged. You know what I'm saying? He's totally deranged, and he's got all these tools available. And of course, the movie was meant to be, this splatter fest. So they're two different clowns. But I think, obviously both of them had their effective moments. Art, obviously, being the one that's the more well received and charismatic. So let's see, real quick too in the chat. Dan said this clown lacked pathos. That's what made Phantom of the Opera so compelling. Ooh, good point, Dan. Good point. All right. Brandon is in the chat saying evening, night, and Corey. What's going on? All right. Let's see. Bluck is in the chat saying no love for Violator from Spawn or Captain Spaulding. No, we were just talking about these two. It was just a quick question that Coriander came up with. We were just trying to have
questions for you guys.
Yeah, we wanted to do this just to kind of get you guys involved a little bit more, because this movie was something that we knew would kind of be an interesting conversation. So let's see. Jason's in the chat. I've come to the Nightwatch Zone merch store to chew bubble gum and buy some merch, and I'm all out of bubble gum. Thanks a lot. We appreciate that, man. All right. So let's go to another question here too, Coriander. I think this next one, I think it's mine. Let's see. Thoughts on the cast. Thoughts on the cast. And we want to put that out there to you guys. And we're looking at the whole cast. I mean, and again, it was a big ensemble, especially including the late great Margot Kidder and Christopher Plummer. So any particular thoughts that you have on the cast, Coriander, or any one cast member that comes to your mind?
I really didn't mind this cast. Obviously, It was nice when, Ashley got hers because everybody loves it when the bitch gets it. Um, but yeah, I really didn't, the cast was just fine.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. The cast was all right. I mean, I think, put it this way, I think that the strength of the cast, the members of the cast that had strong suits kind of balanced out the ones that had weaker. You get what I'm
Hmm.
saying? I don't know if that
Definitely.
makes sense, but
Oh, yeah.
I think Kate as the lead had some interesting moments, but I don't think her character was fleshed out well enough at all. You know what I'm saying? So to me, having a weak, lead or final girl, that already puts you behind the eight ball, so to speak. But Tatiana Ali, I think, was very good as Monica,
Hmm.
and she had a lot of scenes, a lot of dialogue. And like I said earlier, I also thought that Walnut was really interesting too. Melissa playing Cheryl Walnut Weber. So, I guess my answer to it kind of went back and forth, but overall, I didn't mind. I didn't mind the cast at all, because I've seen some movies, and we've talked about some movies on this series where the cast pissed me off. This cast did not piss me off. So
Right?
Miss Carter is saying a waste of talent. Do you mean for Christopher Plummer and Margot Kidder? Yeah, let me know. Let's see. Conrad saying like, subscribe, and hit that bell tone for more scares. Thank you. Thank you. Val saying I liked the cast overall. All right. There
Hmm.
you go. Yeah.
Nice.
Dan saying a decent cast. Kate and George had beady eyes. They were perfect for each other. That's true. That is so true. Good point, man. Ed Harris saying good to see Margot Kidder in this movie. Loved her in Sisters and Black Christmas. Now, Ed,
Yes.
that is
She
so
was great in
interesting.
Sisters.
Exactly. And Sisters, ironically, and I don't know if anyone is here that was with us back then. I don't know if you were,
On our
Dan,
first
but
channel. Yeah.
yeah, Sisters was our very first episode for Slasher Movie Club, and we
Yeah, it
unfortunately
was.
we unfortunately don't have that episode anymore. So we will be redoing that hopefully soon. But Sisters is a fun one, so I'm just teasing that as our future uh, re-review episode. So
Yeah.
Conrad saying Tatiana Starr was shining through the cast, but the rest of the cast was just okay. All right. Miss Carter saying the cast talent was wasted. Okay. All right. Eric's in the chat saying just stopping by to say hello. Been super busy. Sorry I've missed a lot of streams. Hope you guys are doing well.
Awesome.
We are, man. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Hope
Hmm.
you are too.
Right?
Hope you are too. Okay, so let's get to our next question. I think the next one is yours, Coriander. Or no, was it? No, it's mine. It's mine. Next one is
Okay,
mine.
so I don't know if I'm gonna see it. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that mine? No, that's
No,
yours.
this one's mine. How were the kills executed in the film? Because of course, when we're talking about a slasher movie, we've got to talk about the kills. Whether or not they were done well with the gore, the practical effects. Was there CGI? Of course, this was 1998, so we didn't have to worry about that. But also the setting in which where the kills took place. Now, I have a couple of thoughts on this one, but I want to put this out to the folks in the chat. How did you think the kills were executed? Did you have a favorite out of them? That would be good to let us know. And of course, is there one that you totally hated or didn't think was executed well? Um, any initial thoughts for you, Coriander, on how the kills were executed, or any ones that stood out?
Uh, well, I already mentioned one was
Yeah,
Miss Gibby there.
yeah,
Um, and it was too bad when Monica got it. Not that it wasn't the best. I
right.
mean, it wasn't anything major.
Yeah.
Um, but that was a bummer. And
Well,
like you said, Walnut, that was a good one because I forgot about that until, you know, you said it. So,
right.
yeah, I think hers was pretty good too. Yeah.
Yeah. Walnuts was a good one because there was tension.
Right.
And what I wanted to focus on was the setting or the background of the kills, because they were done in different ways. Like with Walnut's kill, I think that was done very well because she was a character that was very scared. Although she believed in the
Hmm.
paranormal, she was
Hmm.
very scared that a killer was on the loose trying to kill them, and so she was running through the auditorium setting where the chairs are and so forth, and she
Hmm.
was trying to hide. It was dark. The atmosphere was kind of creepy or whatever, and she looked for the killer, and the killer came out of the shadows and offed with her head with the axe. I think that was a very effective kill, and of course the slow
Yeah.
mo with her head rolling down
Rolling down the
the
stairs.
stairs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, in contrast, you mentioned when Monica died, played by Tatiana, that it was a sad kill because we, grew to enjoy her character. But
Mm-hmm.
this is my opinion on this, and you let me know, and plus you guys in the chat. The setup for her kill, I didn't like. I didn't like at all because Orsini was coming after her and she's running away from the clown. Now, I get it. She doesn't know this opera house very well. And I know it's a horror movie. And so, you can't just run like Carl Lewis, which of course is what the average person would do to get away. So, but she's running and she's stopping. You remember Coriander? She would stop
Yes.
and look. She actually waited. She
Yeah,
went up
she
the
did.
stairs. Yeah, she went up the stairs through a door. And as she gets to the top of the stairs, she stops, turns around, looks down the stairs. And then, of course, we see Orsini bust through the door coming after her. And I'm like, what is she doing? Run, bitch, run. That's what I'm thinking, right?
Right.
And she gets to the point where she's hiding behind, like, I don't know if they were curtains or little whatever, like not walls, but places where
Yeah,
she
it
could
was.
hide.
Yeah, because he could go through them, so it was like they were like paper or
Yes,
something.
yeah,
Yeah,
part
it
of
was weird.
part of the set for the opera house, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But she was just standing there. It's like, what is going on? It's like, you gotta go. So when she got killed, as much as I hate to say it, and she was a pretty smart character throughout the film, which I also thank goodness, because obviously you have an African American character in the movie. She didn't die first, and she was actually smart in the movie, charismatic. That was great to see. But the way she died, the lead up to her death, I thought was just horrible.
Yeah.
Just the way that it was played out. I don't know what you thought about that. You can let me know. But plus, you guys in the chat, let me know what you thought of the setup to her death, how you took it, because I thought it was.
Yeah, she
It
should have just
sucked.
kept moving. She should have just kept going. And she
Yes.
shouldn't have just, I think if she kept moving, she probably maybe would have been able to find something and knock him out and
Yes.
or something. But yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Agree.
she was a smart character up until that point. They kind
Up
of
until,
like dumbed
yeah,
her up here. And
they
yeah.
did. They
Yeah.
really did. Dan saying they cut away from some of the kills quickly. This isn't Tom Savini level by any means, but they were okay. All right. All right. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean,
Mhm.
the kills were fine. It wasn't a gory, it wasn't a gory film by any means, but the setup for the movie, I was okay with it because you're in this opera house and it's kind of,
Mhm.
this mystery type of thing. And of course, that's what a lot of the 90s movies were doing,
Yeah.
cutting away from the gore and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Brandon saying I may have missed out on this movie as a kid. Might give it a watch tonight. All
Nice.
right. All right. Cody saying, would you consider John Wayne Gacy a killer clown? Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking real life here. Jesus.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Brandon saying that's something I always wanted to know about. Why is killing the black character a popular cliche in horror? Well, my personal opinion, it was just the fact that you didn't have a lot of representation in films back in the day. And so that was just one of those things. It was just kind of the world that we lived in, to be quite honest. And there's interesting things out there. Horror Noir on, I believe it's on Shudder, did a really cool look at horror through the eyes of African American characters and actors, in the genre, and I thought it was excellent. It was excellent, and it talks a lot about that. But that's the world that we lived in. You didn't have a lot of actors of color in those horror movies, and
Or
I'm talking.
any race, really.
Yeah,
It was
true.
seldom that you saw, a whole mixed bag of people.
Right. And so with that being said, every once in a while, if you did have, a character of color in a horror movie, a lot of times, they were discarded because usually the character didn't have a lot of weight in the movie. They seldom had, leading positions, or even secondary positions. I think And we talked about this on the channel, guys. So if you haven't seen it, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have not seen it, please check it out, man. We got a whole bunch of great stuff that we've done over this last year and a half on this channel. But we had a watch along and a review discussion deep dive of George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead. It was a fantastic episode. We had a hell of a good time with it. Also kind of a little bit of a tribute to George, because he's a favorite director of ours. But Night of the Living Dead was one of the first times that you saw a character of color that was a lead. And Dwayne Jones playing as Ben, that was groundbreaking. That was absolutely groundbreaking. And we're talking that's 1968. So, but unfortunately, the point I'm trying to make, unfortunately, that did not open the door for more of that, like people hoped. It didn't open the door. It started to just kind of turn the knob on the door. That's what it started to do. So, an interesting discussion for sure. Very interesting. Steven saying, I may add this to my watch list. Conrad saying that always bugged me. Brandon as well, talking about the plight of characters of color in horror movie. Plummer is a legend. Absolutely. Absolutely. No doubt. Let's see. Brandon saying Horror Noir is a fantastic documentary night. It is. I would recommend that wholeheartedly to any horror fan. And you definitely get a bird's eye view of the other side, and they talk to a lot of great actors. They talk to Tony Todd. They talk to Keith David. They talk to Ken Faree. So it was a really cool documentary. You guys definitely should check it out. We might have to do an episode on that, Coriander.
Yeah.
I think you remember when I was watching that, and you saw a little bit of it. And I'm not gonna lie, man, it was pretty emotional. And it was just fantastic. But I think maybe we should look to do an episode on that. And that's just coming to me right now. That's the great thing about live, guys. This is all unscripted, and sometimes we come up with ideas on the fly. And that's part of,
just add it to the list.
That's right. Well, no, but that's part of what I really love about what we're able to do on the channel is to have these types of discussions and sometimes building right in front of our audience. So interesting stuff. Miss Carter saying, thank God we had the talented Tony Todd as the legendary Tony Todd. Yes, absolutely. As Candyman, she wrote that down. Miss Carter with the typos. But I knew what you meant, though. I knew what you meant. Okay, let's go to, we've got another question or two, I think. Coriander, this one is yours. And let me know if you can see that.
Okay. Not yet. Okay.
The question is, and this is for the audience, are you tired of the standard horror movie character types? And we saw the usual range of character types in this movie, the jock, the final girl who kind of got, the issues that kind of is part of the plot of the film. We've got the geek, we've got the bitch, we've got the homosexual, and they really played into those cliches a lot in this movie. So the question is, what do you guys think of those standard horror movie character types? Coriander, did you have any particular thoughts on that, or maybe one of the character types that you were okay with or totally against in this movie?
That's just these, well, at least, this movie gave you, it wasn't just a white typed cast of these, same, standard characters.
Yeah.
You had I don't know, you've had a couple of, a couple of races in here. So, I mean, so that was okay. But
yeah,
there's more to life than just these people, these standard horror movie characters. So
yeah,
I'm tired of it. Yeah,
I agree. I think, and again, I think, it's funny. And again, I know I keep doing this, guys, but I'm just being real with you, because when we talked about our favorite horror movies of the decades, I think the 90s was an interesting episode because in the 90s, I think that they were trying to find a new path for horror because the 80s was a time of, the slasher. There was a time of Michael, Freddy, and Jason. You obviously had Hellraiser come in there in 87. And I think the 90s was trying to kind of step away from a lot of that and get more into ensemble things, things that was, more like Scream, or maybe horror movies that were kind of riding the line between thriller and horror, something like Silence of the Lambs or Seven. So the 90s was really interesting, but I think this movie was still locked. And it's interesting because this movie came out in 98. This movie was still locked in that format, if you know what I mean. Let's see. Ms. Carter saying, Night, how do we find old interviews you did with actors? That's a good question, Ms. Carter. And I don't have a specific playlist for interviews because, we've only done a handful of them. But I guess you just have to look. That's a good question, though. But we have pretty much all the ones that we've done on the channel. So, and hopefully we'll be doing some more. And I've tried to really, have that as something that we work on and have for you guys as episodes. My playlist called The Ring is a playlist where, I either have a guest. A lot of times it might be another YouTuber where I'm kind of focusing on what they're doing and so forth. But we also do have, I think most of our interviews are in that playlist. I could be mistaken. But that's your answer for that. Cody saying, for example, Trent from Friday the 13th, he was such a douche. He was. Yes. Yeah. Yes, he was. Steven saying, everyone smash the thumbs up button on this live stream. Thank you so much. Thank you. Brandon saying, I love that movies like Cabin in the Woods that poke fun at those stock horror stereotypes.
Yeah.
Well, Brandon, it's funny you mentioned that. I'm just going to tease that. All I'm going to tell you is keep your eyes open this week. That's funny you said that. Right, Coriander?
That's right.
Very funny. But good point, though. Dan saying the George character was interesting because he wasn't what he seemed at first, but they didn't develop it enough. I agree. He was a red herring, and they had some interesting things that they did with him. But I wanted a little bit more. I wanted a little bit more. Seriously. Jason, that's a good one, man. The Freddy tune. That's great, man.
I know that is.
That is great. Thank you so much, man. We appreciate it. We really, really do. And again, the merch store is open, guys. It is open for business. So please check it out. We really would appreciate that because it was something that we opened specifically because it was asked by so many viewers. So it is open. All right, let's go to our last question here. I think this was the bottom line, Coriander, is this film underrated whatsoever? Again, this was a film that we knew nothing about. We hadn't seen it. Not many people here had seen it before. So what do you think? Is this, and for you guys in the chat too, to answer this, is this film underrated, Coriander?
Well, you know what? I want to hear what you have to say. What do you think about it?
I think this film is interesting. Okay, it was a film, and of course, we're talking about a scenario where we've watched a lot of good films for Slasher Movie Club, and we watched some films that were almost unwatchable, and you know that as well as I do. We've had two that I can think of that we literally fought, scratched and clawed our way through to watch. So that's the lens I'm looking at it through. In that sense, I think this is somewhat underrated because, I'm glad I saw it. Is it a favorite of mine? No. There's a lot of missed opportunities. But for the time period that it came out in, I do understand why they made choices that they made. And it was obviously a pleasure seeing Christopher Plummer in a movie like this. Margot Kidder, I enjoyed seeing her. These are some of their most, I don't want to say different type of performances, but you just don't see them in slasher movies like that. It's not something that they did a lot of. So that was fun. The mystery element could have been better, but it was interesting. And I love the setting. The one thing I enjoyed the most was the setting. The opera house was creepy. and I thought it was a great setting for a horror movie. That really intrigued me. It really, really did. So,
Yep.
what about you?
You know, for what this movie was, yeah, I like you, the setting was great. Um, I did, I do enjoy clown killers,
Yeah.
so
Hmm.
I mean, that was fun to watch too.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not the best, but it's not the
Hmm.
worst. And I
Definitely.
mean, I would watch it again if it was on. It's not like I wouldn't ever watch it again. So
Yeah.
it's got that for it.
Yeah, I agree. This is the type of movie. This is almost like one of those types of movies. And for any of you guys in the chat, and I know some of you are like this, it's almost like those types of movies that you see on TV
Right?
that are, what I'm saying, they're not at the level of a theatrical type of experience, but there are some TV movies that are very good, and there's some TV movies that are as good as any theatrical one. Look at Salem's Lot, but
Yeah.
so this movie is kind of like a TV type of movie, and if I'm sitting at home just chilling out, and I got some snacks and it comes on, I wouldn't mind watching it again. This is definitely a type
Right.
of movie that I don't feel like I wasted my hour and a half with. So
Right.
now let's see what we got with the chat. Miss Carter saying this movie is overrated. If you ask me, big stinker. Overrated? I
Oh,
don't think
nice.
I don't know if anyone was really talking about this movie, but maybe I had never heard of it. But Miss Carter saying it's overrated. Okay. Steven's heading out. Have a great night, Coriander and Night. Thank you so much,
Yes, you
man.
too.
I appreciate it. I am the Ice Lords in the chat. Hey host, hey chat, how's it going? How you doing? Nice to see you. Conrad saying horror tropes are getting very tiring. I agree.
Right?
I agree. Yeah, and hopefully, like I said, it's all about creativity. I think movies just
It
have,
is.
yeah, have to
Yeah.
have creativity.
Hmm.
Let's see. I think I got everyone. Conrad saying I'd give it a rewatch. Entertaining. Yeah, I definitely agree. I definitely
Hmm.
agree. It was good enough that I would rewatch it. So that says a lot because we've done some movies on this series that I would not rewatch again. So
Right?
yes. Brandon saying to the Nightwatch Zone, have you and Corey seen Fear of Clowns, one of the worst clown films you would ever see? No, I
I
haven't seen that
haven't.
one. No,
Nope.
no. All right. Dan saying, go back and leave a comment when we're done too. There you go, Dan. Thank
You're the man,
you,
Dan.
Dan. Because again, we don't
Right?
get a chance. And again, guys, for anyone that live streams, and some of you guys have been in that situation, we're unscripted, we're live. So there's so much going on. And we should promote that a lot more. That's probably my fault more than anything else, but definitely leaving a comment helps to support the video, which of course helps to support the channel. And it does not have to be a paragraph or a novel. It can just be a sentence. And a lot of times I try to, at the end of our shows, ask you guys a question like, what did you think of the movie? Did you have a favorite part or so forth? Matter of fact, that's what I'm asking right now. If you can leave us a comment, let us know, what did you think of the movie or anything in particular about it? So thank you, Dan. I appreciate you helping us out, reminding folks about that because we definitely need it. Val saying coming out in the height of Scream, Halloween, Nightmare, Friday 13th. I think it fared well. Think it got lost in the shuffle with the big name horror movies. Absolutely.
Yeah. Hmm.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. ZZM saying, glad to see you guys back on. I haven't watched this yet. I'm not worried about spoilers though, but I'll have a watch. All right.
Nice.
Yeah. It's free on Tubi, right? Coriander?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Prime to be. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, it's free, guys. I mean, nothing is cheaper than free. So I think it's definitely
Right.
worth a watch. But yeah, I think, for what it was, this film is entertaining.
Hmm.
It had high points, and I can't say that about some of the films that we did not enjoy on Slasher Movie Club. So let's do what we do, Coriander. You know how this is going to go. Hopefully this works out. We've got 3 ways to rate this baby. We've got recommend it, saying that we thought it was an excellent watch. We've got chance it, meaning that it was okay. You could take it or leave it. And then we've got skip it, which means that it is dark territory, like Don't Go in the Woods. What are you going to give this, Coriander?
Yeah. It's like in between the first and the second. You know what I mean?
Come on, man. There's 3 options.
I know. Because I don't want to say, I'll say chance it, but
Yes.
you should check it out. I'm recommending it, but I'm not
Yeah.
saying I would go out and buy it. If it's free.
Stop it, man. You're overcomplicating it.
I'm sorry. Okay.
What is going
Shoot,
on?
you go.
I'm gonna give the simple answer, which is chance it, meaning that if you watch it, I don't think you'll feel like it's the worst movie you've ever seen. There's some
Right.
good parts in it, and that's what chance it means, is that it was okay. It was okay, and that's how I feel. Is that it was okay. It wasn't
Yeah.
great, but it wasn't
Right.
horrible. It was okay.
Correct.
All right.
Okay.
Matt's in the chat. What's up, man? How you doing? Nice to see you. Oh Lord. Mega Giant saying The Clown at Midnight is actually on YouTube. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mega Giants is going with Chance It. Conrad is going with Chance It. Miss Carter, of course, is going with Skip It. I tell you.
Oh, shit.
Matt saying if it's free, might as well. Well, that's what I'm saying, man.
Right?
Check it out. You may not
Yeah.
like it, and like I said, Miss Carter's not a fan of it. That's perfectly fine. It has a lot of issues with it. But again, looking at it from the lens that we're looking at it from, as far as seeing a lot of these movies for the first time and digging up, old slasher movies, I think it was good enough. Yeah, I didn't feel like I wasted my time. So,
and Christopher Plummer and Margot Kidder, I mean,
right.
They were entertaining in this film. So
they were. And Christopher Plummer had a couple of key scenes, which I thought was like, wow. They really let the old guy go on it.
They let him go loose. Yeah.
I was happy.
Right?
I was happy. Miss Carter saying, I know what I like, Night. You sure do. You sure do.
Don't we all, right?
I am the Ice Lord saying, I'm going to have to watch it. Yeah, let us know what you think of it. Let us know. I'll be very interested. Again, guys, one thing that we've learned from this series is that there's a hell of a lot of horror movies out there other than the popular ones and other than the ones that had great budgets or big name stars attached all over it. And I think it's interesting to sometimes find these gems, because sometimes I want to watch something where I don't know what to expect. And in horror, that's tough to do. Not saying that this movie did have stereotypes and stuff, but I was curious. And so that was a fun thing to have, watching a horror movie from 1998, especially. So,
yeah.
All right. So Coriander, as we usually do, and again, shout out to Christopher Plummer and the cast. They did okay. But as we usually do, let's talk about what we got for next week, which is this is going to be kind of interesting, and it is free on Tubi, but it's
well, are we going to be having it next week though? It might be the following Monday.
It might be.
Right?
We'll see. But I still want to give this out to people, because sometimes it takes people longer than a week to watch these films.
True.
So I think we should still get it out now.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen this movie? It's called Colobos.
No.
Okay, from 1999. It is free on Tubi. I don't know much about it whatsoever. But it's called Colobos, Kolobos. So this could be one of those interesting moments again. We could be going either way.
Right.
We could.
Yeah.
But that's what we got on the docket for our next episode of Slasher Movie Club. And by the way, I also want to throw this out, and I know I've been saying it the last couple of weeks, but I just want to take a look at my tally here. We have been doing a lot of episodes in this series. It's been a hell of a lot of fun to do. And we are now at 46 episodes. This will be our...
So we're 4 away.
That's right. This is going to be our 47th. So it's just been really, really cool to do this. I was talking about this earlier on the collective with Stephen and Tyler. And Tyler said something that was really, it was one of the nicest things. It was really cool, because he said he really respected the fact that we take the time to talk about movies that people don't usually talk about, and we don't just talk about the big names. I mean, we will talk about them, and because we love them. That's what we grew up on. We're huge Friday the 13th fans, huge Halloween fans, huge fans of the icons, and we will talk about that, and we'll do a heck of a job doing that. But talking about a movie like this for an hour tonight, That's something that most channels would not do for several reasons, and not just because they don't know the movie, but it's also a risk to take as a channel. But I'm glad that we have done this, and I'm glad that you
Yeah.
came up with the idea to do this as a series, and I'm really glad about that because I think it's something a little bit different. Folks, they'll come to it, and some people will maybe just discover it. But it's been fun doing these episodes and being our 47th.
Definitely.
I think it's a pretty cool thing. I really do.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
throwing that out
Wait
there.
till we hit
But
100, baby.
there you go. There you
Right?
go. Yeah. As we head on out, Dan was saying yes that Colobos is on Tubi. It is.
Yes. Yep.
Yes. Ginger Ninja saying got a special movie planned for the Big 5-0. There is some ideas floating around, but we won't divulge that right now. But yeah, I think it's going to be cool. Just like I said, that's 50 movies. A lot of them I had never seen, or maybe hadn't seen since I was a little kid. So yeah. Miss Carter saying, can you put a link or something for that next movie? I'll never remember that name. I will try to do that. But remind me in the comments, Miss Carter, because again, I've got so much going on right now. I might forget, so I don't want to say I'm going to do it and forget. But if you leave a comment, and you guys know I usually try to answer all comments or at least acknowledge them, I can put the link there. Let's see. Ginger Ninja, he's on it. He knows what's up. He says he added Colobos to my list on Tubi. You all right, man. Seriously, I want to give credit to you guys. I mean, everyone that supports us, obviously, but for some of you guys, you guys are on it, man. You got it on your watch list. You're
That's
further ahead
awesome.
than I am. That's awesome. Thank you. It really does help us, though. Seriously, and we talked about this on the collective too. The importance of community and us supporting the community, the community supporting us. Things like that really. It means a lot because that's what the purpose of this particular series was. It's not to just talk about the movie ourselves, but talk about it with you guys. So hopefully you guys are experiencing new horror too, or maybe revisiting things you hadn't seen in a while. So thank you so much for that, man. I really appreciate that. Conrad said a lot of great horror on Tubi. There's a lot of horror that people don't know about. They really don't. So we hope that these almost 50 episodes is going to give people some interesting things, because I know it has for me, and I'm a hardcore horror fan since I was a little kid. And like I said, to be watching movies that I never knew existed, it's like, wow, it's so eye-opening, but it's fun and exciting.
It is. Yeah.
Mega Giant saying A Clown at Midnight on a scale of 1 to 10 is probably 6 or 6.5. Had its good moments. Not a perfect movie, but definitely rewatchable. All right.
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear that a lot of you guys had fun watching it. So that's cool. Very cool. All right, guys, we're going to get ready to head on out. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. It really means a lot. And like I said, I said it last week, we'll see how many people show up for this episode after our mega party last week with Urban Legend. But, Fate said something earlier on the collective, which really rings true. He says, you'll know who the diehards are, and those are the people that, they really do help support the channel in ways that they'll never know. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. You guys are the reason why we're able to actually do a crazy series like this, and we're happy to be doing it. So anyways, Coriander, thank you so much. This was really fun.
Thank you.
Saying great show. Conrad saying Valentine next. We won't say yet, but it's coming up. There's some movies that you guys could probably figure out that are coming up, but it is on the list. I won't say when, but it'll be fun. Anyways, so we will catch you guys later. Take it easy. Happy Memorial Day. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace.
Upchurch.